Everybody, happy Monday. Welcome. Okay, I'm actually kind of ready today. Happy Monday, happy new beginning of the week. Welcome to Mastermind Academy. Welcome to a new week of Waddle, Foundations in Linux. Good to have you all. What's up, Wong ZZZ? Bass track is in fact always dope. Fancy hardware, good to have you. Glad you're loving the music. The Good Kid, Mad City medley is phenomenal. I do love it. I need to listen to a little more of their stuff. I really need to, I've been really bad at expanding my music collection lately. I've been kind of sticking to the same stuff just because I've been busy and kind of just, I don't know. I usually explore pretty heavily. I've been a long time Spotify user and I listen to a lot of music. But I've been, this might be a good opportunity to start exploring again, find some new stuff. Rima, good job today. I'm also equally as proud of you. Glad you're catching the stream on time this time around. And we were on time, as we've been for a long time. Turning over a new leaf. On time 2020 is who we are. I love it. Frequency Hop, what's up? How you doing? I've used one before. I used an off-brand one before, like a little side little programmable keyboard for gaming, and it worked fine out of the box. I was never able to reprogram it, but mine was off-brand. You might have better luck with the Razer product. What's up, Paul Blart? How you doing? I'm in fact a gamer. Thank you for saying hello. How you doing? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. What's up, Aya? How you doing? Angry Rican, happy Monday. Goody goodies. Hello and happy Monday to everybody. Now, tonight is Waddle, Foundations in Linux. We are in the third of 3 weeks for this 6 classes. This is class 5 of 6 for Foundations in Linux. So remember, this is just the Linux foundations. This is enough to get you going, to get you comfortable with working with Linux, so that you can kind of go off and explore. There will be more Linux coming down the pipeline. And tonight, we're going to learn a few things. Tonight, we're going to, one thing I forgot to include I think it was supposed to be in the last class, was supposed to be user and group management as a part of the permissions piece. So we missed that. So we're gonna go back and do some of that tonight. Then we'll learn a hodgepodge of other things, including a little bit about Linux networking, as well as things like cron and startup scripts and utilities, before we finish some things out next time with bash scripting and understanding how you can automate some of these tasks that we do every single day. So it's gonna be pretty fun. We're gonna hop right into it tonight. It's not gonna be a 9 o'clock night, I really don't think. Knock on, there's some wood right here. Hope to get you out at 8:30, so everyone can go relax. I also have to I need to go because I have to finish up I have a talk tomorrow for Baltimore Data Day, actually doing a talk on polymath Python and all the amazing cool things they can do and why it's become this kind of amazing general purpose language. That should be pretty fun, but I've got to put my finishing touches on it as well. Why didn't they tell me switching terminals in Catalina meant no access to your AWS CLI? Interesting. That is very interesting. I wonder if that is because your old terminal, that's really weird to me. I wonder if it's because your old terminal still had that, like it's using one shell, and maybe your new terminal defaults to another shell. That's probably it. Oh, yep, I see it. You got it there right at the bottom. That's exactly what happened. Sin City, how you doing? Okay. 704, give you a few as usual, Monday. You're just getting off work, you're getting home, you're relaxing, you're, kick your feet up, grab yourself some treats. We'll get into Academy View so you can look at my amazing desktop, and we'll hop into it as I'm trying to sound just a little bit. Switch back to bash with the quickness. Yeah, I mean, I'm still, I'm doing my best. The ZSH not being case sensitive is really bothering me. I'm going to show you exactly right now before we even do anything. I'm working on some Docker stuff for work, which is exciting because I haven't gotten to work on any Docker stuff for a little while. But let me move into a new repo real quick, the repo that I've been working out of, and let me show you all my gripe. I've showed it to you before, but this one really bothers me. All right. We're in this directory. There's a Docker file in here, and there's some Docker Compose files for some local testing and development. I'm doing a lot with both of those files right now. And the frustrating thing is, if I try to edit just the Docker file, if I was in Bash and I did this, I did dock and hit tab. Dockerfile would be the, if I just did capital D, if I just did this and hit tab, I would get Dockerfile. But because of this, I keep going too fast and I'll type in vim docker and I'll hit tab thinking it's going to complete, and it only completes out to the word docker, which is some boo-boo. And like there's no, I shouldn't be able to get to these because they are lowercase. Linux is case sensitive. I will show you to confirm. If I go to bash and I go to that same directory, documents, big of Tonto, and I just simply do a vim capital D and hit tab. Dockerfile is what I want, and that's great, but not over here. Not over here. This case matches on everything, and that's dumb, and I think it's stupid, and I don't like it at all. What's up, Ryulan? How you doing? Letters from the multiverse. I love it. Is it sensitive or aware? Great question. It's I don't know. I just don't like it. I really don't like it at all. Oh, thanks. Yeah, the wallpaper is kind of cool. I actually have, well, I have 3 different wallpapers here, but I can't show them to you because I don't know how to do it without breaking everything, and I don't want to break everything. I'm using the Windows terminal. This is if you go to the Windows store, they have released their own terminal. It's pretty cool because you can get some transparency, and actually let's enable that real quick. Let's see if we can enable it real fast in the 4 minutes that we have. Window, before we get started, Windows terminal, enable transparency. I have it enabled on my laptop. My laptop did in fact get the update, it got Windows 2004 update this weekend, and so now I've tested it out. Everything's working well. I am going to be giving this a full go, full try for a lot of things. Even in doing this course, I've seen that there's going to be some things that I'm not going to be able to show, so I'm still going to have a VM around. I'm still going to have a cloud instance around or something, but I'm going to try to give Windows like a real shot at being my full like dev environment for everything that I do, and I think it's going to work out pretty well. So we will see. How do I do this? Yeah, I think I need use acrylic. This is always the problem with this, is that one, I always struggle about where to put these things. Do you use Oh My ZSH? Yes, I do use Oh My ZSH. Add case sensitive equals true. I will add that second billing cycle. I just am, you know, your boy is just a little bit lazy, just some tiny little bit lazy. That's it. You know, no big deal. All right, let's see if this works. Oh, because no comma up here. That'll do it. All right, let's save that. 5 seems crazy. Let's try an 8. And let's see. Oh, got a little bit of transparency effects going on in there. I love it already. Let's actually go down to 5 and see what happens. I feel like it's gonna be too yeah, see, it's a little too I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. Let's go 7.5. Keep it nice, and yeah, we'll do that for now. There'll probably be a situation in which that is too transparent, but for now, that's looking good. And we, you know, we're moving, you know, I like that. It's a little bit beautiful, you know, and as you all know, I can't work if things are not gorgeous. You know, the desktop's got to be amazing. It's for my enjoyment. Okay, let's pull up the slides from Notion and let's get going today so we can learn a little bit more about Linuxy foundational thingies that we need to know to be great on our journey into tech. It's gonna be great. It is gonna be great. Where's my water? I got my water, you know. It's really hot outside. Make sure, you know, this super oppressive, tyrannical heat that's going on right now, make sure you are protecting yourself the best that you can. Hopefully you have access to air conditioning or something, because it is really, really hot. And I despise the heat. I'm a big guy. I sweat a lot. So I prefer it to be cool. My air conditioner at home is not really keeping up all that well, but it's definitely comfortable in here. I got the ceiling fan. But you know, as I get worked up, as I get excited about all the Linux stuff that we're gonna be doing, I may get a little bit sweaty, but it's okay. You know, I've had a lot of these today, so we're all good to go. Get frustrated with my own setup. Yeah, I'm just lazy. But I will certainly be adding that because I am really liking some of the features of ZSH. I'm getting really comfortable with a lot of them. And so I think I'm gonna start to venture out and really create my own ZSH .5, my config, to have all the things that I want and that I need. I think it'll be great. I applied for a new job today in a project I've been following forever. Nor, that's amazing. I love it. We're gonna put the energy out to everyone right now. Taking that brain, you read that, you heard that, taking that brain energy and put that energy back out in the atmosphere. The universe responds to energy, and we are going to make sure that we've done everything in our power to give you the best odds of getting that job. That's pretty dope. I really like it. I'm glad you applied for it. Always shoot for the stars. Let us know how it goes. Let us know how the journey is. Tony, I love it. Congratulations on starting your new job. Hopefully it's everything you thought it would be. Congratulations. I hope let us also know how you're liking that. Give it a little time before you come back and give us an honest review of the new workplace. Throw something up on Glassdoor. I'm a huge fan of people rating their employers and giving information about what it's like. Every experience isn't the same, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's a really good thing. All right, let's get started so that we can get out of here a little bit early. Waddle, wait, let's do it. Waddle, Foundations in Linux, day 5 of 6. Perfect, let's move on. After that slide, I'm back to my old keyboard, which is nice. I'm back to my 60%, I forgot what the name of this layout is, but I'm glad to have it back. It's pretty nice. I still need to build one more for the office, but it's back here for now. So today's topics, we should have did this last time. That is my fault, but it's user and group management. I don't know how I left that off. My bad. We'll get to it tonight. System startup. We're going to learn about system startup a little bit, and what you can do to kind of manage what happens when that happens as well. We're going to get comfy with Cron. We're going to learn about what Cron is, and we're going to get comfy with it. And then we're going to learn about some simple Linux networking concepts. This is not going to be a networking course at all, but we are going to dive into just a few commands that can help you get around the Linux networking stack and kind of understand some of the things that you might be doing. These are the more common commands. There's a ton of them that you can use to do certain things, but I just pulled out the ones that I think will be most beneficial to people immediately, and we're gonna go over some of that stuff and how that works. Okay, real fast, right into it. I think this is gonna be a concept that we all have, that we're gonna all understand, but you just gotta kind of memorize the command for it. We should add a Notion command, but I think the command is actually Waddle. If you want the Notion link, we should also make that a Notion link as well. That would make a lot of sense. Oh no, I kicked my light off. That's okay. Wait, and I gotta plug it back in. I think I kicked it out. 1 second. Okay, we're back. Yes, all the lights are off. Again, I told you guys, I cut off my camera every time I move from the desk, mostly because of possible plumber's crack. That's honestly the number one reason. There's really no other reason why it's a big deal to me, but pretty much plumber's crack. Cool. Darkness Falls was a solid movie. I saw it when I'm big into horror movies. I do get scared of them. I watched Darkness Falls way too many times. I need to rewatch it and see if it holds up. I doubt it does, but I thought it was pretty good. All right, user and group management. Let's get right into it. Users. A user of a computer. You're used to being a user of a computer. You're used to having a user account. And there are two types of users. on a Linux computer, pretty straightforward. There are your normal users. And so a lot of different types of things fall into normal users. So, you know, actual people, actual users of the computer are normal users. A lot of times applications and different services also create user accounts on the computer to run as. And so those will also fall under the normal user sections. So they're normal users, and then there's a super user or the administrator, and that is called the root user. You will hear this pretty pretty often. Is the root user, that is the super user. We've been using the sudo command to run commands basically as root to escalate our privileges to the root user, but I'll show you what that looks like, and I'll show you kind of how you can switch to the root user as well. But yeah, these are the two kinds of users really. That part is pretty simple. But how are we going to do any type of user management? You know, how do we add users? How do we delete users? Let's say you are working for a company and you're the person that's managing these Linux servers, and as people join the company, you need to make sure that their accounts are up to date and things. Yes, normally you wouldn't be doing this by hand on a machine like this, but you know, it's a great thing to know. It's a really good thing to know, especially when you're troubleshooting applications or you need to create users or make sure things are available for certain applications to run properly. You know, and you're working on permissions and things. It's good to have a good understanding of this. So one, how do you list users? How do you see what users are available on the system? And the way that you can see those easily, there's one or two other ways, but the main way that people go in and see their users is there is a file on the system that keeps track of some information. It's called the etc password file, and it's passwd, but we're going to use the cat command to take a look at it real quick. It is just a file. Remember, everything in Linux is just a file. So let's take a look at this file, and we're going to look at the one on WSL, and then we'll hop into AWS, and we will also look at one in there as well. Let me move this over here. And what's the does anyone know? Oh, if I do that, I cannot see any of your messages. And I don't know if you can see my screen either. Let's see. Right now, I cannot see you all, but can you see my terminal? And I'm gonna switch back over in a second to find out. Could you see my terminal right there? Uncle Bill Druin, thank you so much for the host. I saw someone else was hosting me earlier, but I missed it, and I forgot to say. Let me see if I can scroll up. Scott Stemo, thank you so much. Or is it Scott's Timo? You know, sometimes you got to read it a couple of different ways. Welcome, thank you so much. Okay, so you can. I'll just minimize it. This is groups. We went too far too fast. But let's take a look at that. Let's move this back over to this screen. Let's click back over here. Let's move it back to one. All right, let's make this a little bit larger. And first off, a command. I think I already taught you all this command, but one of the first commands that we're going to do is who am I? And so this is the command to find out who you are, what user you are currently using. And you know, that's important. Sometimes you'll be in a machine administering a server, and you'll be doing making some changes and things, and you might not be sure who you are. And it's good to be able to figure out who in fact you are. So the who am I command will allow you to figure out who you are. So I am the user A Brooks, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cat that etc password file, etc passwd. This is the file. And in here, you're gonna get a lot of stuff, and you're gonna say, oh my gosh, what is this? I don't like it. Also, why are there so many users on my system? Remember, I said that a lot of services, a lot of tools have their own users that they use to properly run these applications. And so there are a lot of system users that are already on here for you. And so this is really annoying. And so you can take a look at all of them. The first, right now, I just want you to focus on this right here. This is the user right here. Root, daemon, bin, sys, sync. These are all users, www data. And I'm gonna be the last one. I'm gonna be the last person on here. We'll go over the rest of the information that is on here as we go a little bit farther. But this is where you'll find a list of your users. You can use some sweet Linux commands. You can use awk or some other things to chop this list up and get just a list of these things that are in the first column or something like that. If you like, not a big deal. This is where you could go to find your users if you need to find them. If you're trying to see if a user exists, try to do something like this. Just do, we talked about grep last time, do a pipe, and we do a grep, and then again you just search for the user that you want, and you can get, you know, some output that confirms the user you're looking for are here. Also, there aren't any passwords in etc password. No, there are not any passwords in etc password. It seems like there would be. I don't know why this file is called this, to be 100% honest with you, but yeah, it's this is where the users lie. This is where you can get user information from. All right, so 2 commands. Who am I, to find out who you are, and the etc password file is where you can get some information about what users exist on the system that you are on. Now, what do you need to do if you need to add someone? Let's say Sarah joins the company. It's Sarah's first day and she needs immediate access to the system. She is, you know, we're still learning. You know, we're there. We're in charge of these systems for the most part. But like, you know, she knows way more than us, and she needs to be in here fixing stuff for us today because our company is growing and we don't really know what we're doing. And we say one thing we do know how to do is simply add you to the system, Sarah. So here we go. The way that you add people to the system is using the add user command. So this is where things get a little confusing. There is an add user command and there is a user add command as well. They are both fine for you to use. We'll talk about the differences in a second, but let's go ahead and do this really quick. So add user, let's do man add user so we can see what this is. Add user, simply add a user to a group or to the system, a user or group to the system. So that's what it is. There's some other options, but we'll simply keep it simple with that. Now, what's going to make you more confused is if I do man user add, create a new user or update default new user information. Very confusing. You can in fact use both of these to add a user. So let's go ahead and add a user. Add. Let's do this correctly. Add user Sarah. No H. I don't think there's usually an H. I don't know how to spell, but we'll simply add user Sarah, and it says, hey, hold on. Only root may add a user or group to the system. You know what that means? That means we need to escalate our privileges. I really like for you to see this when it comes up because I really want to drive home the kind of security paradigm of Linux, the security posture of Linux, and what you can do as root and not root. And so we can simply add in a sudo to do this. This will escalate our privileges to the root user, and we can just type in our password and say, hey, we're authorized to do this. And then we get some nice output here. This is for add user. So it says, hey, adding user Sarah, adding new group Sarah as well. Remember when we looked at Linux permissions, there's a user column and a group column. And remember how both of them, for almost all the files we looked at, had my username for both of them. When you do add a user, it also adds a group of the same name. So adding new user Sarah with the group Sarah. So not only did it add a user, it added a group, and then it added the user to the group all in one little command for you. It also says creating a home directory /home/Sarah. We talked about home a little bit. We'll talk about home a little bit more right now. Well, after this, and so it created a home directory for Sarah, copying files from Etsy skeleton files that it needs to do. If there's anything in there, you can do some cool stuff with this here, but don't worry about that. And then it says, hey, enter new Unix password. So if we want Sarah to have a password, we can enter a password for Sarah, and we say we're secure around here, so absolutely she gets the password 1, capital P, which makes it secure. Password 1, I'm saying that out loud to you right now so that you can please remind me of this password in case I forget it. Password 1, capital P, is the password that we're using for Sarah right here. Never use that as your own password. It's problematic. don't do it. All right, so it says now, hey, the password has been updated successfully, changing the user information for Sarah. Enter the new value or press enter for defaults. So now you can add some of these other things. I will be 100% honest with you. This is all extra stuff that I have not seen in a little while. I didn't even know all these things were in here. I'm leaving everything default for this. I did not know. I don't know anything about what this is, to be 100% honest with you. This feels new to me, but maybe I just usually use user add. Who knows? Maybe it's because I don't really manage users from the system in this way anymore. But even when I did, I've actually never seen that type of output. No big deal. That's kind of cool, but also kind of dumb as well. But cool. We have user Sarah added. How can we confirm whether or not we have the user Sarah added? Let's check out, once again, let's cat Etsy password, the password file. The file that's called password, but actually has 0 passwords in it, is the one that we want. And take a look at it, and boom, look at it right here. Sarah's here. Home Sarah is listed here. Bin bash. So just so you know, these last pieces here are your home, the user's home directory. This is where you can find out where the user's home directory is, as well as what their default shell is, or what's going to execute when this user is switched to or logs in. And so mine is ZSH, and Sarah's is actually bin bash. So hers is actually defaulting to bash right now, which is cool. And so what we'll do really quick is, that was with the add user command. The add user command is the better command that gives you more features. So add user is the one that you probably want to use. User add, so same thing, just two compound is a compound word, two individual words put together. All they did was flip them around and they kind of mean the same thing. So that was add user. User adds a little more simple, but it doesn't do a lot of that stuff for you. So if I do user add and I add Brian, whoops, permission denied. Makes sense. We know exactly what that means. It means we need to add sudo, and it doesn't give us all that same output. It doesn't ask us any questions. We're going to check our file. This is a lower level system command, and what it does is it simply adds a user for us. So it does work if you want to simply add a user. And we can see Brian down here. It gives them a home directory. I do not think it created this directory though. So if we look in the home directory, ll/home, A Brooks is here because that's my user's home directory. And look at the owner, the user and the group is A Brooks. We just created Sarah, user, group, Sarah, but we just created Brian. It assigns it a proper home. It's not it. Brian is a person. Assigns Brian a home directory, and Brian, it's here, but Brian does not have a home directory here. This command user add does in fact work to create users. It does not do it. It kind of just does its job. There are some options you can throw in there as well, but add user is the command that's going to give you more flexibility to kind of do a little bit more of that user management. They both work. They are different. So if you are surprised, if you're trying to automate something and you use the wrong one and you're like, oh, I don't know why the file didn't get created, that's why. You see, it didn't ask me for a password. It didn't ask me for anything like that. So just be aware of that. Now, Sarah has a password, Brian does not. We're going to change users really quick. How do you change users now that you've added a user? And we use the su command, which is, I think, switch user, but I have no idea. Let's see. Change user ID or become a super user. Great. So I just think about switch user to help me remember, or when I was trying to remember it, that would help me remember. And you simply do su. There's actually a couple of different ways you can do this as well, but I can do su Sarah. It's gonna prompt me for Sarah's password. I'm gonna type in that super secure password, password1, and it doesn't give me any errors. It gives me some different output, and it now gives me a prompt that says, hey, your prompt is now Sarah at desktop 1i9. This is actually my machine name, and if I type in the who am I command, I'm Sarah. So I've logged in. I've essentially logged in as Sarah now. yeah, I'm essentially I'm logged in as Sarah now instead of who I was before, which was A Brooks. What's up, Frankenstein 0602? Thank you so much for the follow. Good to have you. Get excited to learn a little bit about Linux. So yeah, who am I? I'm now Sarah. I'm no longer A Brooks. Excellent. So that's how you do that. When you log in by default, it logs you into whatever that default directory is. So if I do how do we find out where we are on the system? The way that we find out where we are on the system is with the pwd command, and it puts me right into home Sarah. This is Sarah's home directory. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out as Sarah. So I can type in log out, and because I was already logged in as A Brooks, it brings me back to my A Brooks user. I can confirm that by typing in who am I, and I am A Brooks. Once again, I'm no longer Sarah. Now let's change into Brian's account. Password, I made no password, so I hit enter. Authentication failure. You might say, hey, what in the world? Like, what is going on? I can still log in as Brian. I think I can do sudo Brian and who am I. So if I escalate my privileges, I can go ahead and take on that. But you might say, hey, Brian's account is there. I don't want people to be able to sudo to Brian. I want them to have to put in their password. How do you change a user's password? Another part of user management. The way that you change a user's password is with the passwd command. So this is even more confusing because now this makes you think about the password file, but the passwd command is how you change the user's password. So I say sudo passwd Brian, and it's going to allow me to enter in a password for Brian. So the password for Brian is going to be password2, and now it's updated. Great. So now if I do Brian, you don't need to do the dash. I forgot why I do the dash. I think it does something with my home directory, and what the path is. But password2 gets me logged in as Brian. And so it gives me some information about what I did. This has to do with the minus that I actually added on there. But it gives me some stuff. Don't worry about that. But I am in fact Brian. So, user add versus add user, two different ways to create a user. Add user has some more functionality than user add. User add versus add user. I think the difference is one is distro specific versus Linux baked in. Yeah, I think user add is the low level baked in Linux command. Yeah, I think so as well. Okay, so now cat/etsy password. Let's say, hey, we thought Brian was gonna start, but Brian took on a better job and no longer would like this job, and we want to go ahead and now we want to, whoops, wow, I just clicked on all the things that I did not mean to click on. And now we want to go ahead and we want to remove the user. So we added a user. To remove a user, you could just do delete user username. There's also a user delete. So it's kind of the same thing. There's a user del and a delete user, or a del user. And so we're going to do the del user and type in del user Brian. Doesn't work again. Some of those Linux commands that we're going to start to get comfortable with, the way that and I only learned this after all my years of Linux. I only learned this during one of the sessions maybe 2 or 3 months ago. Sudo bang bang, sudo exclamation point runs the last command that you ran, but it prepends sudo to it. In the ZSH, it like drops you to this screen, but in bash it'll just actually run the command. So sudo del user Brian, and it says, hey, removing Brian user, warning, group Brian has no more members. Done. Yeah, so that's one way. And if we want to delete Sarah, let's do user delete on Sarah. And now that's gone. Sarah's gone now, but I'm gonna show you something really quick. So let's confirm that they're both gone. Remember, which file did we check users in? Etsy password. Makes no sense, but Etsy password is the file where we check our users, and both of those users are gone from the bottom. But let's check the home folder And look at that, Sarah's home directory is still in fact here. That is mostly because I used the user delete instead of del user, again, the older one versus the newer one that has more features. So I'm gonna remove this really quick. Slash home Sarah, won't let me. Okay. But what I can do is I can recreate that. So you just go add user again. Let's add Sarah again. No password. It's gonna make me. And okay. So that's gonna be there now. If I do ll/home, her directory is there again. But if I do the del user command again, sudo del user Sarah, let's see, it is still there. So there are flags. So the reason why the home directory is of that person is not deleted is because when you're managing a system like this and people are doing work, home folder is where a lot of things are going to happen, especially if people are actually doing work on the system. And so you don't want those things to be deleted by default. You know, if you're a company, your organization, you need to grab these things. You want that data to be around if you need it. So it will not delete this by default. You can pass in flags for it to delete these directories if you would like it to on deletion of the user account, but these work the same. Do you have to do sudo under Brian to see the users when using W? Not sure what you mean. To see the users when using, I don't know what we're using W means, but do you mean this? It's like you're saying if I do add you, let's add Sarah back. And you're saying if I switch to Sarah, you're saying, can I look at Etsy password? Is that what you're asking? If so, then yes. And so let's look at the permissions. We learned about permissions last time. Let's look at the permissions for Etsy password. You can absolutely see Etsy password without doing that. Why? Because the permissions are read write for the first block, read for the second block, and read for the third block. So everyone can read this. The owner can read it, the group can read it, and everyone else in the world can read it as well. So we can read it, we can cat it, but we can't make any changes to it. So yeah, so this is if you want to practice your numbers, remember R's are worth 4, reads are worth 4, writes are worth 2, executes are worth 1. So this would simply be 6, 4, 4. And so root is the user and the group. So root can read and write to this file. The group root can also read it, and everyone else in the world can also read it. So no, you don't have to do that. Been here for 5 minutes already learning. Great, Frankenstein. That's what we're here for. I'm glad you are learning. Yeah, that's why we do it. I like it. References the complete last command and didn't work in every shell, but bash and TSH. Yes, second billing cycle, that's correct. I'll teach you more about the history of, people don't know, you can type in history and see all the commands that you've run in order. And you can reference these as well, but the bang bang just references the very last command that was run. Oh, so you mean actually using the W command? Yes. So no, I don't think you have to use sudo to do that. Some people don't know, W will show you all the users, the other users that are logged in. For anyone who doesn't know, you can also do something called wall, which is you can send a message. You can say, hello, everybody. And it'll send a message to everyone that's currently on the system that says hello. It'll just pop up for them, which is kind of weird. It's not really a great way to do some stuff. We used to do it when we were gonna do maybe bounce a machine, and we do a W to check if other people were in the machine. We send out a message saying, hey, everybody, this machine is going down in 5 minutes, you know, save all your stuff, and then we reuse it. But I haven't used W in a very long time. Haven't needed to. I remove this user in case you're oh, see, Sin City, see, you're right, you always looking out. Yeah, I gotta get Sarah off the computer because she can't, you know, we don't want any type of, you know, oddities, like, you know, it's just drama. We don't like drama. I like that. We are gonna definitely remove this user, and so we're gonna use the user del user, actually we're gonna use the del user Sarah. I thought it was gonna find the one. I typed in del user, and see, I even think the reverse search works differently in ZSH, but I'll check it out. That shouldn't have came up with user del, I don't think, for reverse I search for what I just typed in, but either way, it's all good. So Sarah, is Sarah still in the system? Etsy passwd. No, she is not on here. And let me remove her home directory as well. All right, so that is users. You can add users to the system using the user add command or the add user command. You can delete them using the delete user or user del command. They will get a home directory, which is the home directory is almost always by default is /home/ the username. And so that is what we're referencing when we say, hey, whenever you see me type this little tilde here, this is a shortcut for your home directory. It always references the user's home directory, and that's why people use it. It's a nice little shortcut, a nice little alias for your home directory. You don't have to know who the user is. You don't have to know any of that, where their actual home directory is. This is a reference for whatever the home directory is. So in this case, it will be /home/ the username. But yeah, that's how you do users. Now, groups. What are groups? Groups in Linux are just collections of users. It's simply a collection of users, and they're designed to make permissions and access management easier. So instead of, you know, if there can only be one owner of a file, how do you give more granular permissions to other people? And groups are the way that you do that. You know, you can say, maybe I have a group for all of my developers, and I want my developers and my company to have access to very specific directories and tools and processes. And the way that I can do that is to add their users to that group and then assign permissions to that group rather than having to, you know, manage everyone individually. So groups are like that, and they're managed very similarly to how users are managed. And so let's list out our groups. They are, makes more sense, they are in the Etsy group file, which makes way more sense. Now, you might say, hey, what is this Etsy thing? Remember, we talked about the Linux file system hierarchy a little bit. And what we learned during that time is that Etsy actually is a directory for that handles a lot of configurations, different configurable files. And so that's where things that, just configurable files. And so to see what groups we have, we're to cat Etsy group. And, you know, not quite as crazy, but these are the groups on the left. And then there's a GUID here. But then don't worry about that. Then there is, it says Abrooks is here. So this is the group, which is Docker, and Abrooks is in the Docker group. This is going to show you a list of usernames that are a part of that group. So if we put Sarah back on the system, which we're not going to do because of Sin City, brought up a great point. We're going to put someone else on the system. And if we were to add them to this group, their name would also be listed next to here, so we can add a couple people to that Docker group. But group management is fairly straightforward, similar to users. The way that you add a user is user add or add user, and the way that you do a group is group add. And the group name or remove is group delete with the group name. So this is the part that's very similar to what you just did, so we can do that really quick. And then I'll show you the last part that we're talking about down here. I'll clear this out a little bit, and I'm gonna say group add. And is there also an add group? There's also an add group. This is the same paradigm. Add group is probably the one you really want. But I did group add because that's the one I always use. I generally don't normally add groups manually, but whatever. So add group add, add group. And let me just, it looks like it's exactly the same. I just want to make sure they're not all weird and switched up. Yeah, I actually think it is switched up though. What's happening here? Control C. I don't know which one's the lower level one. Add user and add group. Okay, yes. So let's use add group. They both work for both of our purposes now. They all work. Let's do add group here, and I will do add group. So I'll do sudo add group and call this group's gonna be called Waddle, and adding group Waddle with a GID of 1002. This ID is a unique ID for the group. That's all it is. No big deal. And now if we do our cat on the Etsy group file, we can now see the Waddle group is now down here with no actual users inside of it yet. And we can go ahead and we can do something with it. So before we remove it, let's take a look at how you add a user to a group. And this is actually different on different systems. This is the command for how to do it on Debian based systems. I do not think user mod, I'm pretty sure user mod is not available on Red Hat based systems, but we'll check it out. We'll hop into a Red Hat server and we can do all of this stuff as we get a little bit farther along tonight. So what we're gonna do is hop back over here, and we're simply gonna do, let's break this command down. So we'll copy it and I'll tell you what it all means. All right, so the command that we're going to use is the user mod command. And actually, let's man user mod. And it says, hey, simply modify a user account. That is all that we're going to do. And then we can see some of the stuff down here. You saw that I was going to do the -a command, and the -a command says, hey, add the user to the supplementary groups. Use only with the -g option. You saw I had the -g option there as well. So it's going to append the user, it's going to add the user to a supplementary group. And let's go down and see if we can see what the -G does. And it says, hey, a list of supplementary groups which the user is also a member of. Each group is separated. So this -G is a group's list. It's basically a list of all the groups that I'm already a member of. And what this will do is this will append it to this, and it will basically add that user to the group. So user mod -a-g, then it's going to be the group that you want to add them to. So we just created the Waddle group. So I want to add to the Waddle group the user A Brooks. I want to add A Brooks to the Waddle group, and this is what that command looks like. Do not worry about memorizing this at all. You can absolutely Google this every single time you need to do it. Yeah, it's okay. Don't try to memorize these flags or anything like that. You're good to go. And when we hit it, you know what we get. It says, hey, you need to do it with sudo. So I go ahead and do it with sudo. And now, because I've now added this user to the group, let's take a look at our groups file. So cat Etsy group. And we can see that now in the Waddle group is now A Brooks. And so let's add a user, sudo add a user, Lyle. I don't know why Lyle came to mind, but Lyle is the user which we're adding, and we're gonna have to give Lyle a password, which I don't love. Enter. Yes. Okay, Lyle is now on the machine. How can we confirm? We've been looking at Etsy group. For users, we want Etsy password. And we can see Lyle is here. Lyle is a user. If we would like to add Lyle to the Waddle group, we simply do sudo user mod -a -G, and then the group comes first. So Waddle and then Lyle. And now kicks us back out to the prompt. How do we rerun that command? We do cat /Etsy group. And now you can see that there is a Lyle group, because remember, when you add a user, it adds a group for them as well with a new group ID. But check this out. Now Waddle now has 2 users, both A Brooks and Lyle. So that is how you get people added in there. What's up, Drox 2? Welcome to the channel. Glad to have you. Now we must add you to the group as well, Mr. or Mrs. Drox, to user add. You're gonna get in here and you're going into the Waddle group for sure. Drox 2. Your password is gonna be password 3 with a capital P, very secure, the most secure. And you are gonna get user modded, user mod -a-g, and you're gonna also get added to the Waddle group. And there you go. And let's nope, no. What I want to do, let's take a look at it again. And now Drox2 is now here. Thank you for the follow. Good to have you. You are in that group as well. So that is how you would add a user to a group. And now again, this group is now important for when you are doing when you're doing some permissions. So remember, the second 3 things here are the permissions for the group. So now I can, give a lot of people access to a file all at once. If I want to, and I can lock it down to the rest of the world. So I can put these people in this group, and I can more easily handle what they're allowed to do on the machine. So that's users and groups. Yeah. Any questions so far about users and groups? That's like everything. The hardest things to remember are that the users are in this file. I feel like there should be a better way, but yeah, Etsy password, and we'll learn some Linux foo mostly next time to kind of add to this. But we're actually gonna have full sessions on there's gonna be full like 1-day sessions on just like random, like putting together all these Linux things to do cool stuff that with like a bunch of topics that fall outside of a big lesson. Can I get access to the SSH and the www groups? No, Beast. Bast. You can't Bast. I would not like to permit you access to those groups. Well, maybe next time. Maybe one day we'll create a couple of cloud environments that you all can wreak havoc on if you'd like. All right, let's move on to system startup. This part is less exciting, but system startup, and we're gonna keep this simple. There's a lot that happens in the Linux system startup process. It's very funny. I actually interviewed for I don't know if you ever heard of a company called Palantir. The big company. They might do bad things now. This was a long time ago when they were first getting real hot and real famous, and I interviewed there during the time that I was interviewing everywhere as a Linux admin. And I was killing that interview. I was crushing the interview because I'm good at solving problems. And so they asked me a bunch of ways to solve problems, and like I had worked in data centers, I had worked purely as a Linux admin, and I kind of understood the flow of things, and I was killing that interview. And then they started asking me very specific questions about Linux and what different processes, like what the startup order, like what processes booted when. I was like, why are you asking me these things? This interview was going well. Why are you trying to ruin me? And it did not go well after that. And they the feedback was, hey, like you seem intelligent, you seem like you have great problem solving skills, but you don't have the in-depth knowledge of Linux that we're looking for. And I was like, dang, I didn't know people need to know all that stuff. But it was pretty surprising. But yeah, Palantir, you probably see me wear blue shirts. Sometimes it says like Save the Shire or whatever. But yeah, they do some a lot of stuff with the government. They do a lot with data. It's not all good things. It isn't all good things, but they do a lot of stuff with the military. A lot of shade. I don't know. Everyone has different morals when it comes to their jobs. I don't know. Yes, I do know about run levels now. We're learning about run levels tonight, but like it was way deeper than run levels. Like way deeper. They did not tell you the truth. Hey, well, life turned out okay. It was sad though, because the only reason I was sad about not getting it, like I said, I've been interviewing in a lot of places, I was sad about it because I found out how much they were paying people, and it was an absurd amount. And like, I was fully expecting, because they interviewed the first like round went so well, I was fully expecting, I was like, well, looks like I'm just gonna triple my salary, you know, I'm the man, I'm gonna triple my salary, no problem. And I was super excited about it and got a little cocky. And that next round, first half of the interview went super well, and then they started asking me these super specific questions, and I was like, oh, I don't know these, I don't know any of these. But yeah, can you discuss inodes? Yes, yes, we can discuss some inode stuff. Yeah, we can. I think there'll be time for inodes for sure. We can. All right, let's run through these system startup things really fast. Now, first thing we're gonna talk about is run levels. And yes, this is important for startup, but there's some other things that we're gonna get into. But yes, run levels. Linux just has a few different modes in which it can operate. Run levels are the things that define what this mode is. All right, we're gonna keep this very simple. We're not gonna go super deep into this. We are going to see them. We're gonna run a couple commands. These right here are the default generic Linux run levels. These are the different modes in which a Linux machine can start in or run in. These are the levels that they can run at. And so they start at 0. 0 is the first level, and they go up to 6. And so the first one is Halt. This is the run level for shutdown, and you can use this run level as a way to shut down your computer. We're gonna hop into the cloud and do some stuff with that so you can see these. One, single user mode. And so this single user mode, this should automatically be telling you that, hey, this mode has a single user, has one user, but it does not configure any networking interfaces. So this will not connect you to the internet. This will not allow you to get to other machines and systems. It is single user mode. It is a mode that's generally used for maintenance or for recovery. So if you ever forget your user password or something like that, and you get locked out of system or something, you can drop into single user mode and save the day. Yeah, it basically gives you root access to the machine. That single user is the root user. Yeah, and it does not configure network interfaces. Number 2, run level number 2 is multi-user mode. So it's worth noting that this is a CLI only mode. This does not have a graphical user interface. This is just the CLI as the root user. Number 2 is the same thing, and it's the same thing, but it's multi-user mode. So it allows you to log in as other users. If you know the passwords, if you can log in and use the rest of the users that are a part of the machine, but it's still not configured to work through the web. It's not, the network interfaces are not configured. So no networking, but you can get into the system. You have access to your files and things like that. And you can, again, usually use this for maintenance is what these modes are generally used for. Now, number 3, multi-user mode with networking starts the system normally. This mode is most akin to what you would know as a server. Is how servers run. Servers do not run in this mode. They can run in this mode by default. They don't. But this is what it is. It's the CLI with all the users that can log in, and it has networking. So all the networking features are there. It can now, all the network interfaces can connect, and you can do things over networks. So 3, it's a good mode to do things in. If you need to troubleshoot, if you need to do maintenance, but you need the network, multi-user mode is for that. These are also good modes to drop into. Maybe you want to drop in a user at run level 3. Maybe you're having graphics issues. Maybe there's, you tried to install a graphics driver and you're having all kinds of issues. Putting your computer into run level 3 may give you the ability to do the work you need to fix it without having to, reinstall the OS or something like that. Number 4 is usually undefined. It's usually just an open space for you to define what this run level has and what it does. So you can actually go in and configure your own run level and have the things that you need on there. And yeah, Number 5 is the one that is commonly this is the default for both, generally for both desktop Linux and server Linux. So it's the same thing as run level 3. Remember, run level 3 says, hey, the system starts normally, but it also starts a display manager, an X server, X11, and that is what you see. That is what creates, you know, the beautiful things that you see. It creates that graphical user interface for you. So this is really the default that machines run, even your servers. And I'm pretty sure when we get into log into the servers tonight, we're going to see that they're running in run level 5, even though they do not have a graphical user interface. And run level 6 is actually reboot. So if you were to switch to the 6th run level, it would reboot your computer. And so we can see that as well. So yeah, let's look at the next slide, and then we'll log into a server. So changing run levels and knowing what run level you are currently on. You can get the current run level with the run level command, or the who-r command will give you that information. You can change the current run level by running the init and then the number of the run level. So if you want to switch to run level 2, you simply type in init 2, and it will switch that run level for you. And you can make a permanent run level change. There's an init file which you can change to make it permanent. Be careful with this. I didn't even put the file there because I actually don't want you to do it, because it can mess things up. Yeah, you can ruin a lot of stuff by changing permanently changing the run level to something that you didn't mean to change it to. So let's get logged into AWS, because I can run these here, but it is not going to give me proper output because of the way that Linux is running inside of Windows. Run level, it doesn't even know what the run level is. If I do a who-r, doesn't really give me any information. So we're going to go ahead and get logged in to close all this stuff. Let's get logged in. Two-factor auth, make sure you do it. Let's see, which one do I want? All right, we're inside, and we'll go over here. What sort of positions were requiring this level of Linux knowledge? This was an actual like Linux admin, like a senior Linux administrator position. But they did a lot of, from my understanding, like you did need to know that stuff for the stuff that they were doing. But yeah, that's all it is. Horizons, web servers. Did I delete? What are these? First instance keys, sandbox key. I don't know what either one of these is, but I'm gonna stop them both. And I swear last time, I guess I deleted them. All right, no biggie. We'll grab one that's Ubuntu, and we'll grab one that's Red Hat. Figure add 8. Launch. What do I have here? Here I have, I don't know what I have here. Let's check before. .pym file here. Waddle.pym. I do have a Waddle pym here. All right, so I'm just gonna spin up a quick server. Let's log in and see what this looks like. Give it a few to kind of get ready. Man, I probably should have waited. The day MFAs get hacked, we're all doomed. Sure, I guess. You know, I'm just not afraid. I'm just, you know, it'll be sad, and we'll have to mitigate it. But it'll be fine. Excuse me. And like I said, be careful putting in 2 MFAs in a row that people can see. They can actually use that to possibly hack you. 2 in a row will give them enough information. Not saying they're gonna have the ability to, not saying that it's easy, just saying that 2 in a row will give people that that ability. So I'm logged into this server. Who am I? I'm the Ubuntu user on this server that we have here. And the first thing I'm going to do for you is I'm going to show you, well, actually, let's check our run level. And if I type in run level, it says in and it says 5. I'm pretty, if I remember correctly, that in will show you if I change the run level to something else right now. I think the in will show you the run level that has been changed since the boot. So the booting run level is 5, and if I were to change it, I think that in will get filled. Pretty sure. If I'm wrong about that, someone definitely let me know. Just going off of memory right there. And then if you run a who-r, it will simply tell you what your run level is here as well. So we can see here, even though I am running a server version of Ubuntu, that I'm getting run level 5, and the run level 5 is in fact, how do we get all the way down here? Run level 5 is in fact same as run level 3, so multi-user mode with networking. Makes sense because this is a cloud server connected to the internet, but it actually has a display manager, so it has the ability to run that display manager. There's not a display manager installed on the system, so X11 never actually runs, but it is running in run level 5. And those are the 2 ways you can see it. We just talked about that, but init run level is how you change it. So check this out. If I hit init 0, I get a failed to do it, permission denied. But if I do a sudo init 0, it automatically closes the connection, and I'm no longer on that machine. I'm A Brooks on my own machine. I'm no longer SSH'd in. If I try to SSH in, I can no longer SSH into this machine now. Why can I no longer SSH into this machine now? Because run level 0 is halt. It's shut down system mode, immediate shutdown. That is a way to cut off your system if you would like. There are better ways to cut off your system. I would not do that. You can even see that in the AWS console, this system is now stopping or stopped. Great. It is down. It is not available. Exactly what that run level should do. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna start it back up because I don't want it to be stopped, because we need to log in and do some more sweet run level stuff. But that does stop the system. And again, these are not permanent run level changes. These are current run level changes. And so it's temporary. The run level is not set to 0. And if you set the run level to 0, maybe they've accounted for this recently, but if you were to set the run level to 0, the system will start and then it will shut down. It will shut down. I've been there before on accident. I don't know if every system will. There's probably some safeguards, maybe in Ubuntu, but on older versions of RHEL, you could absolutely set your run level to 0 and not be able to start your system back up anymore. So yeah, don't do any permanent run level setups like that. Cool. So that's what that does. I'm not going to drop in a single user mode or anything. It will just drop you into those modes if you need to. Let's see. The only other one, I mean, you can use 6 as well. That's the only other fun one to show is init 6. Whoops, that was in my Windows subsystem for Linux. Let's log back in. Uh-oh. Still can't log back in. It might have given me a new IP address. Let's see. 266. Yes, it gave me a new IP address. All right, what's up, Fran Hack? Welcome to the channel. Good to have you. Thank you so much for the follow. What's up, Excomp Dukes? Welcome to the channel. Good to have you. What's up, Emma Dashi? I did not say hello. Thank you for following. Welcome to the channel. Mail me a hippo. I would love to mail you a hippo, except that hippos are dangerous, and I'd probably then be charged with, assault with a deadly weapon or something like that, because hippos, I believe, are the most dangerous animals to humans on the planet, or something like that. They're pretty crazy. Also, I need all of you to know that hippos cannot swim. Hippos can't swim. I know it seems like they can swim. They can't swim. They can run in the water, and they like hop underneath the water. Don't ask me how I know. I'm just telling you, hippos, they don't know, they can't swim. They just they can do like some slight floating, but they sink. They can hold their breath for a really long time, and they run along the bottom. If you watch videos of boats getting chased, that's why you'll see the head like come up, and then they'll like kind of be there and they'll come back up. So that is your animal information of the day. It is true. Go look it up. It's wild. Yeah. So welcome. All right. So what I want to do? I want to do sudo init 6. And again, it shuts me out. Why does it shut me out? Because it did shut down the computer. It did in fact shut down this computer, but this is the restart one. So before, I had to manually restart it from on that run level. And this one, it might already be back up. The way that this works and the way that the cloud services work, let's assume it gave me the same IP because I didn't shut it down all the way. And it's still running. If I try to get back in, it might still be running through its process, and it might be assigning a brand new IP again if I refresh. But I'll give it a few to do its thing. But that run level 6 does that. And like I said, be careful with run levels. I just want you to be familiar with them. 5 and 3 are the normal ones. 5 really is the normal one. 0 is to shut down, 6 to reboot, 1 again generally for maintenance to kind of get in there and recover in case something bad happened. Yeah, you can kind of log in as root if you need to drop into number 1. And running this may have broken this in the cloud for some reason. Let's see, can I get in? I am in, so it's back. Interesting. Oh yeah, up for 0 minutes. Yep, cool. Just came back up. So those are just the different run levels. And again, those run levels take effect as startup. So yeah, just be aware of those things. Let's keep moving. All right, now, aside from how the computer runs, let's now talk about what the computer runs at boot. Not necessarily what the computer is actually running, but there are some ways you can manage what programs and what applications start up when the instance or the computer starts up. And these are some of the ways, and we're gonna talk about all of these. What's up, Code Show? Good to have you. Shout out to Code Show. How you doing tonight? Oh, I like the Code Show 1. I love the emote. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. But yeah, so there are a couple different ways to handle this. And again, this is actually like the I'm on Windows, and you want to choose your startup apps. You can do this on Mac as well, but you want to choose the applications that start up when your computer starts. We can do this in Linux as well. And this matters for a lot of reasons. Hey, if you're running a web server or something, this stuff is important because you don't want to have to, let's say you're running, a system that has, your environment has 25 systems in it that are running various services. If one needs to be rebooted or something, you don't want to have to reboot it and then log in and have to go in and start up each of those applications. Say, hey, I need Apache running, I need PHP FPM running, I need this database service running, and do all these things. You can configure processes and scripts and things to start when you start up the computer, and there are different ways to do this on different things. Managed Chaos, welcome. Good to have you, man. I need to get you your dinner. I didn't get you dinner yet. I'm well aware. It is because I forget all the time. But I'll get you that card. I'll try to, if you're still on at the end, just be like, yo, give me my little card. Cause I got I think Will and Ed. I think I said it to Ed and Will. So, you're almost odd man out. But I got you. I definitely got you. But good to see you. Glad to be here. I'm glad that you're here, not glad to be here. But there's a couple of different ways to start applications and manage what happens when the computer boots. One is check config, and actually let me boot up a Red Hat based instance real quick, because this is Red Hat only. Check config is not a thing on Debian based distros. Whoops. And now I don't know which instance is which. I should probably give them names. Let's give this a name. Red Hat. Let's grab this real quick. Let's hop on in and another tab here. Waddle, was it EC2 user? Might still be spinning up. Come on, cloud, work faster. I like instant gratification, and when I hit the button, you need to be ready for me to log right on in, because I'm lazy and I don't like to wait, and I'm just gonna keep doing it. I'm not gonna give you any chance to do anything else. Is it EC2 user? I'm not sure it's EC2 user, but should be. Connection refused. If it's not EC2 user for Red Hat, what is Red Hat's I did choose waddle.pem, right? Did I choose I don't think I did anything with the what are the inbound rules here? Yeah, I should be able to log in. Red Hat. I choose the right key. Where's the key? Key pair name Waddle. Are you playing me? Does anyone know AWS Red Hat username? The username is EC2 user or root. So either one. Why doesn't it like this? EC2-user. Oh, now it works. Whack. I just did it too early before it got all set up and nice. But check config is something that is on Red Hat based systems. So CentOS and Red Hat are what you're generally be using this on. Like I said, in a lot of organizations you might be using this distribution. And what check config allows you to do, check this out right here. Down here it says 0 off, 1 off, 2 on, 3 on, 4 on, 5 on, 6 off. There are 6 of them starting at 0. What does that sound like to you? That sounds like run levels. And what these what you're allowed to do with check config and all of these services that we're about to talk about really is define in which run levels each program is on or off in. And so check config is how you do that. And so this is a sudo apt update. I don't know why I did apt. This is a Red Hat system. I'm gonna update really quick, and I'm gonna install Nginx, and I'll show you how we can just cut it on at boot really quick. And I'll show you what happens when we don't cut it on at boot, and then I'll show you what happens when we do cut it on at boot. And while it's restarting, we can talk about the other stuff as well. So again, check config will allow us to control what runs at start and which run levels. So does this rc.local thing. There's these RC commands. This is RC directories that we can use to specify these things. We're gonna talk about those. And then the newer way to do these things is through system control, through systemctl, and enabling these things to run a startup. So a couple of different ways. The reason why I'm showing you all of them is because you might be managing a system that's older, you might be touching a lot of these things, and these are all pretty important things. They're pretty important. So just want to make sure you're familiar with all of them. This is going to take a while, so let's move on to check config and not to RC local. So in the etc directory, there are these RC files here, these RC directories. And this is Ubuntu. This is in Debian-based distributions. I actually think this exists on Red Hat-based distributions as well. But you get this rc.d 0.d 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are the run levels again. And so inside of these, if I go to rc5.d, in here there are a bunch of we haven't talked about symlinks yet, but there are symlinked scripts in here, and these are all startup service. These are all services that they're referencing. And so basically this is a folder full of scripts, and basically these services will be kicked off. Everything in this rc5 .d directory will run. They'll run when this when it starts up in the number 5 run level, and these will all get kicked off when the computer starts up. So these are all things that we need. These are set up by default. I didn't set up any of these. So if we needed something to work or to be booted up when this happened, we could place the executable or symlink it right here into this rc.d directory. If we wanted, there's an rc.local file you can create as well. It's a common paradigm as well, you know, but people do it in a lot of different ways. It's kind of expanded since then. So you can in fact use that if you want, but just everything in that rc5 directory will run when the computer starts up. So just know there's a place, excuse me, where I can put things or to start at boot, and hopefully the other one will be done soon. Systemctl is the preferred method, I think. So in here, let me do sudo apt install nginx over here. So this is on Ubuntu. I used apt. This is Ubuntu that we're doing things over here on the left, and we'll do the same thing on the right whenever this is done. And the way that we would run this as startup is I could do this. I could do system ctl start nginx, even though I think nginx already started. I could do sudo, and nginx is running. It's probably already running. We can do status. It is running. So let me give you the IP of this server really quick, and you can go there if you would like. I think it's this one. Where's this one? Where's the date? July 20th. What's today? These are both July 20th at 8:04. What? When did less than 1 hour? I spun up both of these within the hour? Hold on. I'm really confused now, because this is the one. I mean, it's fine. Did it spin up 2 computers? Let's see. What are these? What are each of these running? First instance. Well, I don't know. This is not the one I want. This is the one I want. That's fine. Okay, so this is the IP address for this. So if we go here, we can, no, we can't. Why can't we? Because of this really quick. Give me 1 second. I need to open up the firewall. Yeah, it's in an ASG, isn't it? Why was it an ASG though? Like, when do we do that? It is, for sure. So add port 80. All right, so now if I refresh this, you can all go to this IP address if you'd like, and you can in fact see that Nginx is running. It's serving up a website. And now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reboot this computer, and I'm gonna do it with, because we were talking about run levels tonight, I'll do it using the run level. And so I'll restart it really quick. And so when this restarts, oh, you know what's funny? This might, it may not show you what I think it's going to show you, because I think that it may, I think by default it may get loaded. We'll see what happens real quick. Let's do it over here as well. Sudo yum install nginx. What's up, Zyleer? Welcome to the channel. How you doing? I think I did thank you, Franhack, but if I didn't, I'm sorry for not thanking you for the follow. Good to have you. We're just doing a little bit of learning how to manage what happens when a Linux machine starts up right now. Sudo service nginx status, not duo, sudo. Cannot be reloaded because it, I don't know what that is, that says, but I always restart. And let's go status again. So now it is running also inside of Red Hat. And if you were to go to that IP address as well, which I will also pass along to you, the one that's, you know, says Red Hat, we head over to this one. It does not work. Why doesn't it work? Because once again, we need to open up the firewall real quick. All right, instantly this should, oh, I said instantly and it didn't listen. So we get a completely different Nginx page, which is nice because now we can clearly disseminate between the two. I'll send this over to you as well. And you can see the two different Nginx pages. Now, on the first IP address on Ubuntu, you can no longer see that Nginx. If you try to refresh, it will not work. So the 3.84 IP address will not work. Why wouldn't it work? It won't work because we restarted this computer. And now we got a different IP address. Well, no, we probably didn't get a different IP address. Let's see. I doubt we got a different IP address. Uh, 3.9. Yeah, we did get a different IP address. So this is gonna be the new IP address you go to. Okay, and see, that's what I thought. It does start, which sucks. It does restart. So on Debian, when you install Nginx, it also enables it by default. I don't know why, but the way that you would enable it, if it didn't already enable it, is you would do a systemctl. One of the other ways is systemctl enable Nginx. What? Or is it Nginx enable? Hell, the Nginx service does not exist. Hold on. The sudo. Service does not exist. Unit Nginx service does not exist. Yeah, it does. Failed enable unit. I mean, it's already done, but let me see. This is, oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. This is the local machine. See, gotta start paying attention to what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. You know, sometimes I forget. Why didn't it let me in? Can't be established. Permission denied. Why is it being denied? Is it because I copied? Why is it being denied? Perms on key? But I'm, nah, perms on key are good. We just logged in with this. Permission denied. Public key. We just did it. SSH.exe. We just logged in. Unprotected. So now when if I do .exe, I think it's trying to get it from my main computer. But Waddle's right here. Authorized keys reset on reboot. I mean, yep. No, this is weird. Actually, this is really weird. I might just reboot it again. But I mean, this is the key that's configured. There's nothing I can do about it. Hold on, where is? Oh, actually, this is not the server. This is a different server. Did our server never? Oh, hold on. Our server might have died and it might have just not come back up. Oh, you know what I did? Did I do run level 0 instead of 6? Let me see. I might have ended it. I think I ended it 0 instead of 6. Enable Nginx. That was me trying to do it on this machine, which was dumb. Yeah, I ended 0. That's my bad. I should have did 6. It never restarted. We were looking at the wrong server, but we figured it out. See, you got, hey, you know, got to follow the logic. You got to follow the logic. We'll start this back up. This was the instance. We'll start it back up, and now everything will be fine. But back to the other one. If we do a sudo, I'm just gonna reboot it. Sudo reboot now. The Red Hat one is also rebooting right now. Yeah, it's a good idea to name servers. I don't know why I didn't. I named the Red Hat one, but I did not name the Ubuntu Waddle Ubuntu. It is, but I told y'all I'm lazy. Okay, that's the reason. It's the reason. You know, why would you make things easier for yourself when you could do everything in your power to make it harder on yourself? What's up, silly boy? How you doing tonight? Good to have you. Welcome to the channel. Okay, now that this has happened, this should be probably up and running by now. Whoa, what's the, oh wait, this is actually not the server I care about, is it? This is the server I care about. This is what I started with. I named the wrong server. This is Waddle Ubuntu. Waddle Ubuntu. And let's get rid of this, because I don't know what that is. All right, now Waddle Ubuntu. Let's check this out. This IP address, and let's see if Nginx. But I already knew this. Nginx does in fact start up by default, but I can log into this now. This is the wrong one. Scroll all the way back down. And that's not what I meant to do. What I did mean to do this was get on in there. Wow. Oh, SSH.exe. Let's pull that off, because what it's doing is I do have these in my SSH directory, but I don't want them to be. So we're back in. Check config, not check config. We were gonna do sudo systemctl enable Nginx, but it's already enabled. But this is what it looks like. It says synchronizing state of Nginx service with sysv service scripts, executing this. And so basically all it's doing is doing the work to set up Nginx and enable Nginx in the current run level. So whatever run level I'm in now, which is 5, run level 5, Nginx will now start when it boots. It was already set up to do that as well, but that is how you would enable a service to start at boot on a Debian-based machine or anything that's using systemd. So I may be able to do the same here. Honestly, because I do think this is using systemd as well. And so yes, I could do system control, enable Nginx with a sudo in the front, and it would do exactly the same thing. That's one way to do it. But like I said, there are the rc.local files, there are the rc.d files for the different run levels. That is a way to do it as well. And on this machine, there's also, again, a check config. Was it Nginx on? I think is what you would type in. Sudo check config Nginx on, and so this will do the same thing. Check config is now, I believe, deprecated, or they're not using it anymore. So what it does is when I use check config, it instead says, hey, I'm actually forwarding your request to systemctl enable instead. So it's actually running this instead, but that is a way that you might have to do it on some systems. So just a few different ways for you to do that. What's up, Freak288? How many servers are you making now? I have 2 right now. Just one is a Ubuntu server, one is a Red Hat server, just to show some of the differences. But now we need to move on, because I lied to you, because I said we would get out of here faster, and we did not get out of here any faster. And we actually have a fair amount to cover still. I apologize. I knocked on wood. I thought that would fix everything, but it didn't. All right, let's move on real fast. Cron won't take us long at all. Pretty short section. 3 items in here. Cron. Cron, all it is that you can use this tool to schedule tasks and commands via the cron service. So cron service, cron, you know, the word chronos means time or watch, or I don't actually know what it means. I just know it has to do with time. So I should have just went with it, but whatever. But you can use this service to schedule things. There are a bunch of different ways to do this, to implement it as well, which is kind of confusing to some people. There is, just like with those RC files, there's a few directories you can check out. So these are all in Etsy as well, but there's a cron.daily folder, monthly and weekly. So things that you want to run daily, go in the daily folder, monthly, go in the monthly folder, weekly, go in the weekly folder. And I can show you how to find out what times those things will run. But also there is something called a Crontab, and this is what you'll commonly hear about. There's a few different places this lives. There's Etsy Crontab, which you can edit, and then there's also like an init tab that exists in, I believe, the var folder, and that is what Crontab-E allows you to do. Allows you to edit the Crontab using whatever editor you select. And we're gonna look at these real fast. But before that, crons are set up in an expression that has a 5 or 6 numbers. Linux, so cron is a thing in more places than just Linux, and cron expressions are a thing in more places than just Linux. So if you are programming or something and there's a cron library for you to use, it may not be in this order. Like, this may not be the same expression that you need to use, so do be careful about that. I ran into this issue when I first started learning how to program. I thought because I was familiar with a Linux cron, a Unix cron, that I could just use the same cron expression in my code, and that was not the case. You need to refer to whatever you're using. But this is the this is how you write the cron expression. The first number that's right here, they have stars here because you can use stars as wildcards, but the first number is going to be the minute that you want this thing to run on. So if you're trying to schedule something, this is the minute that you want it to run on. Then the hour, the day of the month, the days of the week. So you can also do like ranges in here. You can also do like month 1, 3, 6 with commas in between if you'd like. So there's a couple different ways to create this cron expression, and it takes a long time to kind of, really get comfortable with it. So let's take a look at what these look like. And so cron is available on your host machine if you're running, Linux or Mac or whatever. But let's take a look at this. So there's a couple different ways. cd/etsy. Now there's these cron folders. Again, cron.d, cron daily, hourly, monthly, weekly. Let's go into cron.daily real quick and take a look. There are executables in here, and these things will get run. Everything that's in this folder will get run daily. And so all these different things are in here getting run daily. So automatically, we don't have to worry about it. We're not going to worry about those folders right now, but what we are going to worry about is editing the cron tab. Let's look at the different stuff. What's up, Dark L Steve? First off, what's better, Linux or Windows? It all depends on what you're doing. They're tools for the jobs. Right now for me, Windows is better. I'm a Linux. I'm a Linux person through and through. I really do love Linux. I love everything that it does. I've used it for a long time. But for the things that I do now have changed significantly. I now stream. I now do content creation, and Linux is not great for those things. Linux is not great for some of those things. Not great for video editing. Does not give me the same features for streaming that I would like. Access to peripherals, etc. And I game a lot. So, Windows is better for me right now. It all depends on what you're doing. Linux is better for a lot of things. I think Linux is better for a whole lot of things, but Windows is also good for stuff as well. Macs are also good for things as well. Temple OS is better. I don't even know what Temple OS is, but do I think Linux desktop is going to die with now with WSL? I definitely think WSL hurts it. Die, no. But hurt it, yeah. I think it'll hurt it some. Oh, yes, this is the best OS that we should all run. And now I gotta install it. I have to. I gotta get it installed because it looks amazing. It's gonna be exciting. It's a meme. Well, I'm gonna install it. I'm gonna get it installed somehow. It's finished. Working state finished. Okay, that means it's ready to go. You know, it's perfect. When something's finished, it's perfect, and I will get it installed, and it'll be great. Passwd and Linux Mint are probably more desktop distros for gaming streaming. Yeah, for sure. Like Linux has come a long way. There's a lot of stuff I could do. Like I could stream no problem, but I've already spent my money on things like this Elgato Stream Deck and this Go XLR mixer. And although I don't use them to their fullest potential, one day I plan to, and there's still no compatibility with a lot of these things in Linux still. All right, let's keep moving, because like I said, we're behind. Let's look at the Crontab really quick. You can do a couple of different things. Crontab-E will basically ask you what editor you want to use to edit it, and it'll let you know, hey, Nano is the easiest, but you can change later. If you hit number 1, it goes in and it's doing this in Nano, and now you can edit the Crontab in Nano. But as you know, we don't do that over here. I actually don't save this. Okay, you can just vim/etc Crontab as well. And here we go. These are actually two different things. Like I said, they both will operate with cron, and they both will execute things. But this is, there's just this etc Crontab file, system wide Crontab. Now, look at this. This is the expression right here. The stars are wildcards. That means everything. So every hour, every day, every month is right here. But so this is the user that this will run as, and this is the actual command that gets run when you schedule it. So you simply schedule what you want to happen, and something happens. So real quick, I'll put one here, and let's say every minute, every hour, every day, every month. One more, and root, and I'm gonna say /root/ I'm gonna say run/root/test.sh. We'll write a quick test.sh and pipe that to /root/output.sh. All right, and .log. Output.log is what we're. All right, so we're gonna write a quick script real fast that's gonna run every minute, every minute of every hour, every day. So every minute this should run. And I'm gonna save this. Oh, darn it. Let me copy this. It's not gonna let me copy it. Hold on, can I? Let me try to yank it. Let me also try to visual, right copy. I don't think it's gonna let me copy it. Sudo vim/etc Crontab. Come on, please let me paste. Please let me paste. Yes, let me paste. So test.sh and output.log. We need to make those really fast. Sudo su minus vim. Let's touch output.log, and let's vim test.sh. All right, we'll make a quick script really quick. The script, all it's going to do is it's going to basically save the date to a variable called date, and it's just going to echo out date. This is, let's see, ... This is running via Crontab. All right, so it's just gonna spit out some information with the actual date and time and say this is running via Crontab, and I'm gonna leave that chmod +x test.sh. All right, and so if we give it a little bit of time, each minute, I'll give it a little time, date. So in a couple seconds, it should run for the first time, I believe. All right, and it didn't run yet, but I can wait and look at some stuff real quick. But vim/etc Crontab is where I put it. And this is what's gonna run. This is what is going to run when it needs to. We'll call it root test sh. Actually, this is the wrong directory. That's why it's not gonna run. We need, oh no, that's right. What's here? All right, this should work, but we'll see. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it should work, no problems. You don't have to run the Crontab uninstall a new version. You can edit this file in files or cron.d. Also, yeah, but it should run. We'll leave that for a little while. Really, do I have to? I haven't run a cron like this. Oh yeah, because I didn't put it in the. Yeah, you're right, because I put it directly in the cron tab, which I actually don't recommend. So you used to put a lot of things directly in the cron tab, but I would put things in cron daily or cron.d if you need it. All right, let's give it a few. I don't even need to do some CTL. Okay, cool. I could have just reloaded cron, I guess. We'll give it a few. Let's see if that works. Oh yeah, it works. So my cat output log, and so this is what it ran the first time. If I do tail -f, my output log, I get it to run faster if I did a slash. But if we give it a few, it'll give us another output here in a second. And I should really make sure I delete this, so that it actually doesn't run every minute. Come on. We want to see this output. We're ready to see it. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Cron may not be running. That's yeah. What's the benefit of a terminal that uses Electron? I'm kind of baffled. No benefits. The benefit of a terminal running Electron is simply because it's JavaScript, the ease of configurability, and you make it do cool stuff. You can make it do really cool stuff because you have the power of the web at your fingertips. Makes it super configurable, but that's it. Doesn't really make it, it's not better. It's just more fun. So, if you're trying to get stuff done, maybe not the best thing, but sure. So yeah, so you can see here every minute it's gonna go ahead and update this because cron schedules this and it runs it. So we did make our cron expression properly, but now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to get rid of it because I do not want this to be happening all the time. And I'll save that and I'll restart cron. Okay, whatever, that's all done. All I want you to know is that you can use cron to schedule tasks to happen automatically. You might use this to make backups of a server. You might do this to make backups of a database. You might set up something for a job that processes files. You might do that through cron. So a lot of reasons why you can use cron to update your system. Yeah, you can use it for a lot of different things. Now, very quickly, luckily we're not diving deep into any of this stuff for networking, so we can get through this pretty fast. The last section of tonight is going to be Linux networking. So just very basic Linux networking, kind of understanding some of the things that you can do, find out when you're working on Linux networking. And I think I forgot to change this GIF. But one, network interfaces. A machine can be configured with any number of network interfaces. You can use the Ifconfig utility to both get information about those interfaces and their configuration, as well as to issue changes to their configuration. So what are network interfaces? Network interfaces are different devices on the computer that allow networking to happen, to allow for network connections, whether that be to other systems in a network or whether that be externally out to the internet. There are different interfaces which a computer can have that would allow for these things. And again, there can be any number of them, both physical and virtual. And the way that you can see these things is with the ifconfig command. So let's take a look at that. And if you run ifconfig, it will show you a number of things. And so this is, I'm on my desktop, and it's not showing you my real IP address, which is great. But you can get that information even from like the server here. You run ifconfig and it gives you this information broken down by network, each network interface. This is one network interface, ETH0, Ethernet 0, which is kind of your main, generally your main one. If you're running wireless, there may be a wireless like a WLAN one, WLO like 0, WL01. Then there's always this loopback interface. This will always be there. Yeah, LO, this is the interface that references your own computer, and you'll see this IP address here, 127.0.0.1. This is the IP address, again, always for your own computer. You've seen us type in localhost into the browser a number of times. Localhost and 127.0.0.1 are the same thing. Localhost is a reference to this IP address. Everyone's computer has this same IP address to refer back to itself. So this will always be here. So if I do it on my desktop as well, you can see that I have a LO interface, which is the loopback interface, and this is the IP address that's there for it. But inside of here, you can find out different information about these things. Again, right now, this may not make any sense to you because you're not super familiar with networking. Just, you know, I want you to know with the ifconfig command, you can find out how many network interfaces you're running, as well as if you want to find out your IP address. It's pretty common that you need to find out your IP address. ifconfig is one way you can find your IP address. You can actually add in a -s flag to just show you, you know, a shorter listing with just the interfaces and not all the extra stuff. But yeah, ifconfig is a common tool. You're going to be using it. You're going to have to use ifconfig. So just, it's a good tool to know about. After ifconfig, so there are a number. So one, right here with Linux networking concepts, we're talking about networked computers. We're talking about the data flow and the ability of data to flow in between different computers in different places over a network. And so these this data flow, it takes there's certain things that need to happen. It might feel like when you go straight to google.com and make a request, or you're requesting information from a server you have on the network, that information comes straight back to your computer from where you requested it from. But that's simply not true. There are usually a number of steps that happen in between, and sometimes you need to track the flow of that data. And so one cool tool that you have available to you is one called tracepath or traceroute. So traceroute is commonly what people will call it. Traceroute is not available by default on a lot of distributions anymore. It used to be. You may have to install it. Let's see. So traceroute is no longer available on Ubuntu by default. You get this traceroute 6. Let's see if this works. Actually, I don't even know if this traceroute 6 is. Oh, because IPv6 most likely. But tracepath on Linux is kind of the new. Well, I don't think it's new, but it's the tool that's available. I think it's the same thing or very similar to traceroute. If you're on Mac or on Windows, I think it's traceRT. So I think if I open up like a command prompt, you can do this in Windows as well, but I think it's traceRT instead. Yeah, traceRT instead of traceroute. But what it does is it shows you the path that a request kind of takes, packet takes. So like you can track it the same way that you would track a FedEx package to see where it's going. And this is a great tool for troubleshooting network issues. You can see where your connection is stopping at. Let's say maybe you're making a request out to the internet, out to google.com, and you say, hey, I'm going to do tracepath google.com, and you can watch the hops that it takes or the jumps that it takes to get to its location. So it goes from here to this ASUS router, which is still in my network, to this, to this, to this, to this, you know, to Capitol Heights, to Comcast, to Ashburn, and then it terminates here. And that's, you know, those are the steps that it takes. And you can use this information, it tells you how long it takes. You can use this information to find out where issues may lie, whether it's in your network or someone else's network. which is really nice. But traceroute is a cool tool for that, to kind of find out what path packets are taking in and out of your system. So really cool. There's a number of flags here that you can use with traceroute to find out additional information. You can give it a max number of hops if you want to say, hey, I want to see what's happening in the first 5 hops that my connection request makes. And you can see that information. A really great tool for troubleshooting network issues. Super great tool for troubleshooting network issues. So I would check out traceroute. But again, no need for any of these things. Again, networking itself is a relatively complicated thing, and without some context around some of these, I would spend a little time maybe diving into a little bit of networking, but I want you to know what tools again are available to you a little bit. We'll stop there for a second because the next part is a little bit big, but we'll run through it pretty quick. Managing storage, community network resources, core Kubernetes servers. It's in the DevOps scope. Docker is used as a means to deploy container application. We're talking Docker now, you know. I'm a Docker fan. It's being adopted in ton of major companies. I don't know where that's. Let me see if I can find where that question is. Learning Docker Kubernetes, isn't that more of the development? Oh yeah, Dark Elf Steve. Yes. Yeah, you can't really learn. Like I mean, maybe you can, but I don't think you can be good at Kubernetes until you learn Docker. Or whichever container platform you're going to be using as your Kubernetes engine. And I also think you can't truly understand how to properly manage containers using Kubernetes until you understand container nature through Docker personally. But yeah, I mean, pretty hard to do Kubernetes if you can't write Docker files, to be honest, and know how to manage containers, to understand how they get pulled and where they go and things like that. So yeah. Yes, it does show network latency, which is really nice. MTR, also a really good one. Yep. Imagine if people stock their data packets. They should. No, they shouldn't. It's too much work. But yeah, I mean, it can help a lot. It definitely can help a lot. I have not seen Day in the Life of a Million Packets, and now I will. Let me save this for afterwards. I'll watch that at the end. Right click save. Networking is complex for sure. Yeah. So we're not gonna dive. That's what I'm saying. We're not gonna dive super into it. I'm just gonna give you just a little bit commands you can play around with. But one day we'll learn about networking. I've taught a little bit of networking here, but again, I'm very honest with you all. Networking is probably my weakest area of tech, and I do a lot of stuff with DevOps and systems and stuff, and my networking is weak. It's weak for sure. Kubernetes is a beast. We'll get there. It is. Cover what is systemd and the kernel running under Linux or Ubuntu. Yes, we can talk about systemd as well. So we have systemd to talk about. We have inodes to talk about. We'll get there in a second. But some of the commands that I want you to know for networking are to determine, again, what's going on the network and how information is flowing. And a lot of tools that are available to you to help get this information for, again, how things work over the net, over the web. And so how the internet works. A lot of times you'll be working over networked machines, serving things to the web. This is where DNS comes in, and DNS is at face value pretty simple, but it gets very complicated. So I'm simply giving you a real tiny crash course to this. But DNS, this is how the internet as you know it works. It's the domain name system, and it's the internet's proverbial phone book. It is how your computer knows when you make a request to a website, when you make a request to mastermind.io or to twitch.tv. It's how your computer knows where to go to get that information. DNS is how it does it. And so what it does is it's like a phone book. Web browsers actually interact through IP addresses. So you all have probably heard of IP addresses. And when we created these servers and I gave you these numbers, this is the actual network's address to this machine. The computer knows how to access this through this. This is what it knows about. This is what is important to the web browser, to the protocol. It needs to know this thing. But when I type in google.com, how does it know which IP address? Google.com doesn't mean anything to to this machine. It uses this domain name service, this DNS service, to translate, to look up that IP address based on the domain name that is given. And so it translates domain names like mywebsite.com to IP addresses. And that's at face value, that is what it does. It does a lot more than that, but at face value, that's what it does. And so this phone book, the browser does it by default, but how can we use it from a Linux machine? DNS is actually a pretty important thing, and it's actually the cause of a lot of heartache. It's probably your problem, but there is a utility called Dig, which allows you to do that lookup yourself if you would like. And so it allows you to basically look up phone information, basically find out the IP addresses of certain websites. So I can do a dig on yahoo.com, and I get a listing of IP addresses that I can probably actually hit. Well, some of the websites don't allow it. Some of the websites disable this, but I can hit this IP address, and it does in fact take me to Yahoo. It is Yahoo's probably down on this server, but not actually down where, if I check some of the other ones, but it gives you that information. So again, you can look up those IP addresses. So when you make a request from your browser, it gets sent off. It basically, your computer says, hey, DNS, I need the IP address to yahoo.com. The DNS server replies back to your computer. It says, hey, here is the IP address at which yahoo.com lives at. And your computer says, great, I will go and make the request to that location. And that's essentially how it works. So it's kind of cool. There are other records besides just those IP address records. And DNS allows you to look up other information. Where were we? We're looking at Dig, which is down here. So you can also find out other information. So location of the website, that's the IP address. You can also find out where to send mail, and where master copies of the information is held. So the server that holds all this information, you can find out what the authoritative server on this is. But Dig is a great utility. You can use NSLookup as well to find out this information. It gives you some more information as well. There are a few different options as well to do DNS queries, to look up the information in this phone book. And so Dig is one of the ways that you might do that. While we're talking about DNS, let's talk a little bit about call forwarding or interceptions. Sometimes we might need to override the phone book for development or debugging purposes. So maybe I'm doing some development and I want to maybe I haven't set up my site at this domain yet, but I need to see it at this domain to make sure my links and stuff are working properly. You can override the real world DNS. DNS is like, there's a local place. Your computer looks locally first for DNS. It says, hey, do I know where this website is? And then if your computer says, nope, I have no idea where this website is, then it goes out to the internet to get that information for you. But if you do have it locally, your computer will use that information, and you can actually use an Etsy host file to do that. And so what I can do is, let's check out, let's look at this file really quick, locally on my machine. And I'm gonna do sudo vim/Etsy hosts. And so there's this file here, and what you can do is you can map an IP address to a domain. And so what I can do really quick is I can say, hey, what was that IP address of that server we were just looking at? So Waddle Ubuntu, I can grab this IP address right here, and I can tell my computer, hey, actually, I have this IP address, and that actually goes to google.com. So now when I go to google.com or www.google.com, instead of going to actual Google, it will go to this IP address instead. And so I'll save it, and I'll go here now, and I'll go to google.com and new incognito. Oh, this is not, never mind, not gonna work. Why is it not going to work? Because this is the Windows subsystem for Linux. But if I do a curl on google.com, I get a random Nginx page. Check that out. I get welcome to Nginx. So instead of actually seeing what happens when you go to Google, like here, if I actually curl Google over here, I'll get a bunch of stuff. Well, this is my computer, actually. So I do it here. Curl www, actually curl, yeah, www, and I get all this extra stuff that actually makes up Google's website. But if I actually hit it from my computer now, it actually says welcome to Nginx. Windows has a host file as well. It's in a different location, and that's why it's not working when I do it here, because of the subsystem for Linux. But yeah, that's you have this file called etsy hosts that you can use to override DNS, or to it's not even overriding. It's really it's setting local DNS that your computer can use to do stuff. So good thing to know about. Very popular thing to use to troubleshoot problems, to do a bunch of different stuff. And then we're actually not going to go over netstat right now. I don't think you need to know well, let's go over it a little bit. Netstat, what does netstat do? Netstat is a cool tool to allow you to find out information about connections to your computer, as well as active connections, disabled connections, as well as socket information. So netstat dash toolpin. This is the way that you can find out what ports your services are listening over. And so because it's on here, I can see that something is listening over port 80, something is listening over port 53, port 22, and 68. Now, these ports are all things that I know about, but it's a way for you to see that there is something running over these ports. Port 80 is the web port, so Nginx, the web server that I ran, is here. 53 is DNS. This is actually the service that you use to do that lookup, the one we're just talking about. 53 is the port for that. This is the local DNS service that's running here. 22 is SSH. This is how we're able to log into the machine. And these are the same things over IPv6 rather than that. Well, a DNS server needs to have a record for that domain for you to get a reply. Or if you do like Mastermind, yes, you can do local DNS. Correct. Yeah, you can override. Yeah, I was going to talk to you all about DNS records and stuff, but I don't think this is the place for it. I think that what I more so just want to introduce you to is the world of Linux networking commands, that there are a bunch of them. As you dig deeper into your network, like learning more about networking, I just think it'll help you be more comfortable to start to writing whatever commands you find, to find out that information, just introducing you to some of them. But yeah. Pantlu, I like that. Oh yeah, the A gives you yeah. I like that. Pinks, because it's the same thing. Pantlu, I like that. I'm gonna start doing that. It's easy to remember. Yes, SS replaces netstat, but I think SS only replaces netstat on Red Hat based distros. Oh no. Okay, I thought that SS was only Red Hat based. Okay, that's good to know. We are on Ubuntu machine, so yes, SS. I'm old school. I gotta get comfortable with this new SS command. You know, they're just switching stuff out on me left and right. Really confusing. I'm feeling old, but yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, so that's the last of the networking commands. I think I'm just confused in myself. I'll try after I host a zone from AWS or using a .local. I tried to set up, but I never got any output from that command. It may have been because AWS already had a name server, the domain. Yeah, that could be it. You could still have so also DNS does some local caching, so like your local DNS will cache information so that it doesn't need to keep getting that information all the time, and it'll usually cache it for as long as the time to live of that thing is, of that record. We did talk about those, so yeah, but yeah, that could be the problem as well. Can a public Wi-Fi hotspot ban you for using too much data? I think it banned my MAC address. Yes, public Wi-Fi hotspot can absolutely ban you for anything it wants to ban you for, and it could ban your MAC address. You also can just as easily spoof your MAC address. Almighty Mech. Yes, good, both good and bad advice. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying that it's a possibility. I'm not advising of anything in either direction, just as a disclaimer in case you do something crazy. But yeah, that's it. So systemd, we have some questions about systemd. So systemd is a it's a manager, it's a service manager for it's a little bit deeper than that actually. It's a pretty interesting thing. So I'm from the old school days where you used to start your services like this. Nginx status, and this is sysv. This is a way of managing services. It still generally works on most things, but it's not the standard way. That's where the system control stuff comes in. Yeah, control the systemd system and service manager. So it's kind of nice. Systemd though is a much bigger thing, and it's actually also at the heart of Kube as well. Yes, and I'll paste. This is not a good one. There's a good introduction to systemd. Not Linode. I think this is it. No, it's always in the top search things that I find. Maybe it's no longer there. Maybe it's like deeper in the search list. But that has a good rundown of why systemd is the way it is. So years back, this was the switch between. I think this happened between the between Rel 6 and 7 was the first big change. Was when they went to systemd. Was I think when it went from Rel 6 to 7. And I think Ubuntu, they did this in Ubuntu like 16.04 or 14.04 or something, when they switched it over to this new service manager. And yeah, it's just a different tool, and the way that things work. Like I said, I'm used to sysv init scripts. That's the way I learned. And so to be 100% honest with you, I am still not like, it's so ingrained into me that I not almost always, but like very often, like I type in etcinit and do it that way. I never remember the systemctl commands. I never remember if it's service and then action, or action and then service, and it's very confusing to me. And I'm an old man who hasn't learned the new ways. It does present a number of significant features that help the way that computing is done now, in comparison. But I think one of the things is that I just like, the computing that I do is relatively simple, and so I doesn't really like none of this excites me at all. So I haven't dove crazy deep into it, but like I said, it's also there's a number of these different service managers for different things. There's some interesting things done with systemd and Kubernetes. Not to be confused with etcd. But yeah, they might have pulled some of the systemd stuff, maybe all of it. But there was some interesting stuff being done with systemd and Kubernetes. I know etcd is now the main underlying kind of service manager for Kubernetes. But yeah. I do like action and service, basically just reverse. Yeah, okay, I'm never gonna remember it. I'm never gonna remember it though. Yep, I always mix up the orders. Suck less, systemd, let's check that out. All right, I'm gonna keep this available because I should update my Linux my Linux skills. I think one of the bigger problems is that like I did a bunch of Linux administration stuff, and then I did a little bit of Linux administration stuff when everything started changing, and I just haven't really spent any time doing those things. But yeah, I think that's I want to say that's everything for tonight. I'm sorry, I'm like thinking a little bit forward because like I said, I have to I have to finish a lot actually for a talk that I'm giving tomorrow, like midday, for Baltimore Day to Day. And my mind just moved over to that because I realized what time it was. But yeah, that's it for today. So what do we tangible takeaways? What do I want you to we talked about a lot today. What I want you to kind of just focus on to get out of this. Again, this is a Linux Foundations course. This is not a expert in a Linux course, so don't worry about remembering the stuff like the back of your hand at all. The concepts are bigger. Knowing that you can do certain things is bigger than knowing what you actually need to run to do it. But we talked about user and group management. Remember, you can add users, and that you can add groups. Groups are just a collection of users used to make management of permissions and access easier. And so you can add, using add user and delete user, you can add and remove both of them pretty darn easily. We also talked about what happens during system startup. We learned a little bit about run levels. So there's only 6 that you only need to look at 6 of them. Not crazy hard to remember. One is for shutting down, one is for restarting. They're different ends. Run level 1 is a very interesting one. That's run level 1 is usually when people find out about run levels, when they're trying to figure out how to recover from something bad. Run level 1 is a pretty interesting one, but run level 5 is the default. So just take a look at it. Not crazy important that you memorize it, but try to, if you can. Only 6 items on here. We also learned about that there are ways to determine what starts when your computer starts, what services, what things run when your computer starts, and there are a couple different ways to enable that depending on what distro and which version of the distribution you're on. Chat config, older tool for Red Hat only distributions, which is now I think it redirects to systemctl anyway, to systemd. There are these RC files, rc.local, rc.d, rc.d, depending on the run level, that you could use as well. But systemd is the way that you kind of can enable it using systemctl enable, then the name of the service. And that will enable it for startup, and it will enable it for startup for the run level that you are currently on. But there are other ways to do that as well. Yes, run level 0 does in fact shut down your EC2 instance. So if you're really bad at shutting down your EC2 instances, one simple way that you could automate it is to set up a cron job, maybe at midnight when you think you won't be on it, to run that init 0 command to shut it down automatically for you. Little hacky, but it works. It will solve the purpose. But again, cron, just a way for you to schedule tasks on a machine, and you do that through a cron expression that tells the computer when to do it. This cron expression is very flexible. So again, you can do it twice an hour, 3 times a month. You can do all kinds of stuff with this cron expression. So it's kind of cool. And there are a couple different ways to add your cron as well. So I more so only showed you this to, if you like right now, there's a thing called a cron job, that there's a cron that you could schedule things. If you Google it, you'll probably run into 5 different answers that tells you to use one of these different things. They're all valid ways of implementing a cron. So just to be aware of that. Then we just learned about some simple Linux networking commands, how to find out about our network interfaces, our IP address, using the ifconfig command. We learned a little bit about watching how packets are jumping and moving and the path that they're taking, using traceroute or tracepath. And we also learned about DNS a little bit, just how the internet works. We learned that we can use the dig command to query DNS. We learned about our etsy host file that we can use to manipulate DNS a little bit, to change our local DNS for certain things. And we learned a little bit about a very tiny bit about netstat, and finding information out about connections, active connections on the systems, as well as socket information. So yeah, what's up, Sam Steyer? How you doing? What's up, Soju69? Welcome. Almighty Meek, thank you so much for the follow. Good to have you. But that's it. I gotta get off of here and I gotta go do some work. I gotta go do some work. But tomorrow, for anyone who's interested in learning Docker, we are also on episode 5 of Contained. So tomorrow we'll be learning about multi-container applications and Docker Compose. So we're gonna start to take the individual applications we're running and start to put together multiple containers, and we're gonna learn about how containers run together. So we'll be learning how to do that manually as well as with Docker Compose. Yeah, and then we'll be back here on Wednesday. We'll be doing a whole bash scripting lab. So the way that we've done the bash scripting labs before is I will give you a scenario. We'll work through a genuine scenario. I'll put you into, this will not be the same one that we did last time, but basically you will be a member. We'll all be members of the same company, and there'll be a scenario around that, and we'll have to implement some scripts to solve each of the problems that we're learning. So we'll learn a lot of the aspects of scripting, and we'll actually get to build out a few simple scripts, nothing too crazy at all, because you can't get that much done in 2 hours. But yeah, we'll be doing that. And then on Thursday for Contained, we'll be knocking out how to reverse engineer an application. So how do you Dockerize an existing application? We will be doing that. So cool. That's it. That's all we got. Thanks everybody for hanging out. At the end of every stream, we must go ahead and raid somebody. And who are we going to raid? Let's see. Let's head over. I'll try to get someone. We've raided like 4 people in Portuguese recently, and I don't really mind doing that, but you all seem to leave really fast. And I like to stick around for just a few. What am I doing here? Let me search for myself to get to the. Yeah, I'm live. Let's look at ourselves just so we can get to science and tech, and let's actually head over to. Oh, absolutely, Teach. Absolutely, for sure, 100%. Thanks for coming through. Thanks for visiting. Glad to see you. I do appreciate it. But absolutely, Monday, Devin Chill, Ghost from Texas. I don't know. Let's see here. What are people doing? Python, web development. We haven't done CM in a while. Went over to Mr. Griffin. Just a fair warning. He lives in the state of Washington, and they are allowed to to partake into a little bit of marijuana. And last time we headed over there, we caught him in the middle of a fat bong rip. And if that's something that bothers you, I'm just giving you a heads up right now. But really smart guy. Does a lot of software development. And he can just chill, fun stuff. So we'll head over and we will say hello to Mr. CM Griffin. And yes, it says this channel is intended for mature audiences. So if you can't come through, no problem. But I would, like I said, he's doing some cool stuff right now with with Angular, Phoenix, and Gatsby. I'm pretty interested in learning a lot about Gatsby, so I'm going to stay around for a little while. But glad you did, Drox. Thank you for coming through. You are now, I'm glad you got added into the Waddle group. So dope. I'm glad you learned a lot. And I'll see everybody next time. Have a great night.